Coming up on this episode of the Spiro Podcast.
The best answer is the correct answer. The second best answer is the wrong answer. The worst answer is no answer or no decision.
Welcome to the Spiro Podcast, managing your real estate photography and videography business. With your hosts, Todd Kivimaki and Craig Magrum.
Hi, and welcome to the Spiro Podcast, managing your real estate media business. Spiro is a software platform. It's designed to help you run your day-to-day real estate photo and video business, ultimately really to help it scale and grow and manage a lot of the tasks that can chew up a lot of your time and just make things a lot more efficient for you. I'm Craig Magrum. Welcome back this week if you're a returning viewer or listener. And if you're brand new to the podcast, just really glad to have you here. And we would love to hear from you just how you found the podcast. Tell us a little bit about your business. This is a community that we're building to help each other grow strong real estate media businesses. So you can drop us an email at hello@Spiro, that's SPIRO.media. All right, without further ado, let me introduce the co-host and owner and founder of Spiro, Todd Kivimaki. Welcome back, Todd.
Craig, a fabulous day for us all here today. Excited. By the time you're listening to this, we have 12 weeks left in the year at the most. 12 weeks is crazy. So I wanted to put some things on your calendar because those 12 weeks are going to go fast. Remember, you're burning a couple of those weeks for holidays. So here's some things to think about. One, we just had a huge launch with Spiro, and we launched Titus, which is pay at close. If you need a reason to reach out to your clients, please let them know about Titus. It is in beta right now. The 20 that have launched in beta are doing fabulous. It's a cool program. Basically, your clients can defer payment until close. You get paid immediately. We are the first platform to bring this and fully integrate Titus to make it possible and a feature for your business. If you want to find out more, you can go to spiro.media and find out more information there. You can start advertising this to your clients. We are looking at a mid-October or early October launch for everyone. So it is right around the corner. And the first pay at close came in, Craig, the other day. Actually, on the 23rd when it launched, we got pinged by the Titus team, and they said, hey, we just got the first pay at close.
Right on opening day, huh?
On opening day, $1,260.
Holy moly. That's incredible.
Pretty cool, huh? Yeah.
Very
now,
cool.
we don't know, like if your AOV right now is $250, I'm not saying you're going to have $1,260.
Right.
But I am confident that you're going to see your AOV increase.
I'd be curious if that one that came through was an increase, in fact. That'd be interesting to find out.
I'll go find that out and let you guys know next week what that is. But I'm confident Nick is the co-founder at Titus. They have seen a large increase. He's like, hey, I think you're going to get 30% when people use this. So, yeah. So, we've done a podcast on Titus. Go back and listen to that. At the end of the day, one thing I want to leave you with is when this was brought to my attention, Nick contacted me long ago. I wrote it off right away. I would never use this personally. I don't finance anything, Craig, okay, other than my house. Everything else we own. The house we have a payment on, I have like a 2% interest rate, okay? That's another problem. That's a whole nother podcast in itself about the real estate market and people that are locked into low interest rates. Like anyways.
You're sitting on that for a while.
Yeah. I'm not leaving. Like I'm literally adding on another house on top of my house if we need more room. I mean, come on.
Yep.
But that was my truth, and it was not a true thought. Meaning that just because I thought I would not use financing.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yep.
I'm wrong. You would not believe the response we have heard from agents about this feature. Be the first in your market. Heck, even if you're not the first in your market and someone's already launched with it, this is launch day right now. Okay. So just start telling your agents about it. If they say no, or at least you had a good reason to reach out to them, I think you'll be very surprised with the amount of agents that use it and say, hey, thank you for giving me this option. And by the way, they spent a lot more money with you. So that is on that. Put that on your calendar to send that out in your newsletter today. We've given you search our knowledge base guide. We've given you marketing materials. You've got graphics, social media posts. We've given you flyers. We've given you verbiage. Just go to our support guide, type in Titus, and take it all from there. We've done the work for you.
This point about Titus and agents possibly spending more, probably spending more with this option to pay at close actually relates to a point that I think we're going to talk about in our topic today. Just got me thinking.
Yeah. It sure is. So that is coming in our topic. But the other things for your calendar, November is right around the corner. You're 5 weeks away at the most to the conference, the rep conference in Las Vegas. So please go to the link below in the description and get yourself a ticket. I am going to be speaking. My team is going to be there. There is a fabulous panel of speakers. And heck, they're allowing me, I get the privilege to host the thing. I'm the MC for the event. So you're going to love this event. It's an incredible event. It's Eli Jones and his team with the rep team. And those ticket sales are cutting off quick. So get a ticket, book a flight if you're going. If November doesn't work for you, please come and see us at our first in-person event for Spiro, the Spiro Sync. That is January 22nd and 23rd. Ticket sales have not happened yet, but probably will this week or next. So keep an eye at Spiro.media for more information. We want you to come. It's a 2-day event. You're going to come, grow, learn. We're looking for a couple more speakers. We're going to have some breakout sessions. So if you're like, hey, I kind of like to host a session, and they're not, we're going to have about 125 people at this event. We've limited it for this first event. So ticket sales are going to be limited. If you want to host a group of 10 or 20 people, we're going to have these fabulous breakout sessions where the community can teach the community. So that is coming up January 22nd and 23rd. So please put that on your calendar. We would love to see you in person in Dayton, Ohio.
It's going to be good. Looking forward to it. I hope to make it down, Todd. So.
Craig is going to be there. Yes.
I hope. Well, okay. You just said I was saying I was hoping to be there. You just said I was going to be there. So guys, he's my boss. I'll looking forward to meeting you.
Well, we got a great idea too. Craig sent it to him this morning and we don't have to go into it, but he's like, let's record a podcast from it.
Well, credit to Jess, our operations director on our real estate media side of the business. She had that idea. I'm like, duh. Why didn't I think of that? Yeah, that's a fantastic idea. So yeah, hoping to feature some of you that come to the Spiro Sync event on a Spiro podcast episode.
Get your face on the podcast.
That'll be fun. Alrighty. Anything else for us?
No, Craig, I'm excited about this topic. This is a painful one because we're talking about mistakes, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel.
Right. So, the topic this week, top 3 mistakes that we have learned from in the real estate media business for your benefit. So point, laugh, have a hearty chuckle, but hopefully take something away at our expense as well. Just thinking through things. The best teacher, I think, probably is mistakes and failure. In fact, Todd, I was doom scrolling, admittedly, yesterday after work, and this Star Wars clip came up with Yoda and was it Luke or Anakin? I forget what, but anyway, Yoda says to one of the Jedi that failure, and this might have been fan fiction, I don't know, failure is actually the best teacher. So if it comes from Yoda,
hey, it's got to be correct, right?
It's Jedi wisdom, master Jedi wisdom. So would you impart to us this week your master Jedi wisdom on mistakes, Todd?
Yeah, I'll be happy to give you my mistakes. If you consider them wisdom, then thank you for that.
How do
because
you like
it
that setup? How do you like that
yeah,
setup?
that was great. I'm flattered by that, Craig. So Craig and I talked about this, and as we look back over the years, there was probably we narrowed down a list of 375 different mistakes, and we got it to 3, and we tried to put them in some categories. But as I look back, these really, when we figured these out, allowed us to grow the most. So I wanted to give you the most bang for the buck, and so that you could understand kind of what we went through.
All right. So number one, what this is in no particular order. We're not doing a countdown, but mistake number one, Todd.
So number one was our inability to evolve more quickly. So I think I've mentioned before. So I have a computer science degree and background, and one thing that they teach in computer science is the past is a good prediction of the future. And that is true. If you have written code, logic based code, we won't get into artificial intelligence right now. But if you've written logic based code, what happened in the past is going to happen. So if you have code and it's buggy, you're not going to wake up 3 days from now, compile it, hit run, and it magically the bugs are still going to be there, not going to be gone. So I was taught this idea that the past is a good prediction of the future. But that is not correct in growing a business in the cases that I've found. So as you grow a business, you go through phases. And they are, when you first start out, it's just you. And so one example is everything revolves around you. And you do things at an extremely high level. You take care in doing those things at the high level. And then you sell those as features to your clients. So, Craig, quick example here is I think when anybody starts off, they should go to the agents and say, hey, I understand what you need. I will take care of you. Here is my cell phone number. Here is my email. You call me. I'll change this. You tell me what you want in the house. I'm going to shoot it that way. And that's what you have right now because you got no one else to sell. And when you do that, there's going to be clients that attach onto that because they want their person. I can think back over the years of some very large clients that I personally got to start using Wow Video Tours because I personally met them. I personally called them. I personally was there for them. I proved to them that they could trust me and they saw me as their guy. I was Todd Wow in their phone. And if they needed the schedule, they called Todd Wow. If they needed a photo fixed, which no one ever had to fix any one of my photos, they were all, they were good. So just for example, no, I'm kidding. But Craig, you understand what I'm saying, where that if I was still in that mindset, I would be shooting 1,000 tours a year. My revenue would be $250,000 and I would be making $40,000 at the end of the day. So you have to get out of these mindsets of things that are going to hold you back. I could not continue that process of selling everybody on why to use Todd because what happened was Todd went crazy. Craig, I somewhat wish in a weird way that my wife would have actually jotted down somewhere in a notebook, like every time Todd went crazy, like this mental breakdown of I don't know what we're going to do just because I was probably so stressed out and everything revolved around me. And it would have been fun at this point. I don't know if it would have really been fun, but it would have been worth doing the activity of seeing where that lined up with what was happening in life right then, from a business level and a personal level. I would say just about all of them were connected to a business level of an event. of just being overwhelmed because there was too much to do, working too much, not spending time on myself, losing a large client, things like that. But in those times, I could not keep selling this idea of Todd only because I wouldn't have grown anymore. So that is a case where the past is not a good prediction of the future, because Todd helped get the business from 0 to 250K, but Todd couldn't take it from 250K to 4 million.
Yeah, you need a support team around you, and changing that mindset that can be challenging.
Yeah.
I'll admit, Todd, like that's been part of my challenge and my issue, and why I've kind of stepped back is I learned about myself that I would rather do the work, like the hands-on work, and work shoulder to shoulder with people, than the out front leader that lets go of things and delegates things. I'm not I'm not as good at delegating. But I've found myself now in a role that I love and I'm thriving in. Um, and so you, as owners that are watching this, you've got to be willing to let go and trust other people to help you reach the goals that you've got. So yeah, that's good stuff, Todd.
Yeah. I've got a couple more examples just to throw out there. And if you guys have examples, please post them in the chat below. We would love to talk about them and share them as a community. So the next thing that I think about, Craig, is this has to do with some processes and products. We had started by only doing video of homes. And those videos, I feel like over the years, we were too slow to evolve them. And when we would launch a video, and because we launched video in 2006. So naturally, you show a video to somebody, like video doesn't exist there's barely an internet. And again, we've talked about how dumb of an idea it was. And I was like, let's start a streaming video business in 2006 when someone can't even use it. But naturally, we were always ahead of the curve a little bit just because we were the first to do it in our areas. And we would take those ideas and that great feedback, and I think we would just stick with it because we've always done it that way.
Yeah. Oh, that's a dangerous phrase.
Yeah,
that's a dangerous phrase.
Very dangerous phase. And some of that was warranted because it was working. And our business at WOW is we want to appeal to the masses. So we had to naturally be okay with some of our clients going elsewhere to get a niche product, to get a custom product every time. We just can't do that. We're honest with our clients. If you want custom every single time, we can't do that. If you want consistent, know what to count on, can get in a couple of days, get your media back quickly, and know what to expect, we can help you with that. I will say though, in the times where we updated a video, Craig, we did this video, like we would take a screen grab of Google Maps.
I remember that.
We would zoom into it, y'all. It would be like this push down of Google Maps. And now one thing to let you all know is in our areas, in the cornfields, the Google Maps were terrible because the satellite views weren't really updated. So you're zooming into crud pixels. And it's like, what are we even zooming into? And then we had the same title that would roll across the screen. And we were just too slow to change it. I'm not telling you all to go improve your video product. Like that's not your biggest, if that's not your biggest gap, then you should do something else. Okay. This is like the idea of working on a website. These are some key things that we did over the years at Milestones. And just to keep them fresh, like we were way outdated. Like, we were wearing 80s clothes in the 90s, like a decade of time. It was time to update the video after 10 years. That's the time frame we went. Like we had used the gag. Everybody knew the gag. Everybody knew what videos were ours, which it kind of played to our advantage because like, oh yeah, I know your stuff. But that was one thing that we held on just too long.
What's wrong with 80s clothes though? Come on. They're coming back, right?
They are. There's nothing wrong with them.
All right. You got your parachute pants?
Yes, I do. Yeah, we'll wear them at the Spiro Sync, Craig.
You heard it, people. He's good. Todd in parachute pants and a pink suit, right? No, pink suit's at Rep. That's right.
I don't know. I can't guarantee any of this.
No. Okay. All right. Moving on. Moving on.
Okay, the last one, Craig, about being too slow to evolve was our transition at WOW from manual scheduling to automatic scheduling.
Mm,
Now, this is a problem none of you have to worry about because it's auto scheduling is in Spiro, it's fine tuned, and you have lots of great options. But we, for many years, scheduled 10 to 12,000 jobs a year, all by looking at a map, giving it dates and time, sending it out to the agent saying, hey, does this work for you? And confirming it. If it doesn't work, give them a new appointment. It took forever.
I was saying,
And we would
imagine the amount of time that took.
Oh. I mean, there was 5 employees, Craig, that did that.
That's amazing.
And not only the time, but think of how inconvenient that is. You know, imagine if you ordered something from Amazon and Jeff emailed you and said, hey, you know, delivery's a little delayed. I've got this item in stock. Would you rather take this book than that book? You're going to be like, Jeff, just send me the book. I want it to be here tomorrow. That's why everybody uses Amazon. So we just kept doing that, and we would hit restrictions and we'd add more people. And the problem also with that, Craig, is we would blame the people for a broken process. And that's a whole nother mistake we made. But you never blame the people. You blame your processes. Okay, I learned that the hard way. We'll get to that in a minute. But the thing is we just put our head down and we were so worried or concerned about the amount of work it would take to create the automatic scheduling system that accounted for everything we need that we just didn't do the work. We just kept doing what we were doing. And it's kind of like this analogy. There's a book called U Squared, and it starts off with this fly hitting a window. And it hits the window and it falls down to the windowsill. It gets up again, it flies even harder and hits the window and lands on the windowsill. And it's continuing to just hit the window harder and harder, but the fly's never gonna break the window. All the fly had to do was fly 2 feet to the left to go through the open door. That's what it took work to go around and find the door. But we were so comfortable hitting the window and hoping to break through the thing, but it was never going to happen. And it had an incredible restriction on our business. And just because we didn't want to climb the mountain to to get over this hurdle, we lived in that for a lot of years. And we lived with some missed thoughts or some mistruths in our head as well, thinking it couldn't be done, where we just needed to put the right people in the room to get it done.
Right. So basically the efficiency and the benefit of making that change was worth the time and the effort, maybe the money that you were initially afraid to invest in addressing that issue.
Oh, 100-fold. Because even I didn't know it at the time, but I was creating it for all of you as well, or we were creating it for all of you. So it's amazing how you get into some things, and that's what the author talks about in U Squared, like those jumps, not just singular jumps, but exponential jumps. Like we were doing something that was really hard. We found out it was a big problem for more people too, and our work was able to carry through to help a lot more people.
Investing resources into overcoming challenges is worth the effort.
100%. And one thing about that, Craig, is you have to be okay failing sometimes and investing the money, but knowing that it's not going to work out. Now, you don't go into a project knowing it's not going to work out, but you have to be okay when it doesn't work out and say, okay, we tried something, we learned from it. I typically tell myself, I'm like, it's the price of education.
Yeah, that's a good outlook.
I paid a lot of money for that college degree, and I'm still happy to pay money for education, and we do it through these mistakes.
Don't look at it as paying or paying a bill. Look at it as investing. And
that's a better term.
Mm-hmm. Investing always has, well, not always. Most of the time, investing has a net profit. You're going to gain from investing, right? That's why we invest in our retirements. We know that it's going to gain interest over time. It's going to compound. So look at your investments in your business as compound interest and benefit for the future.
Yeah, that's a great analogy, Craig.
All right. So too slow to evolve. Mistake number 1. Mistake number 2. Shall we move on?
Yeah, let's move on. So, Craig, mistake number 2 was not empowering the team around me. And this really defeats the reason why you put a team around you. So, it seems like a really dumb thing that I would make a mistake on. It's just fitting that it's like, well, why did you do that, Todd? And this goes back into the past as a good prediction of the future, because Todd did really good at first. And I mean, if you would look at Todd's grade cards that Todd gave himself, we did Craig's grade card last week. If you look at the grade cards I gave myself, like I was getting all A pluses. Yeah. Oh, probably I was being lenient with some of those grades. But my point is that taught me that everything had to go through me. And you know what I became, Craig?
I'm going to use a word. I think you've used it before. A bottleneck?
Yes, exactly. It's exactly the word I was thinking of, a bottleneck. And you know what the problem is when you are the bottleneck of your business? No one tells you. So nothing gets done. And you don't realize it because you're so incredibly busy spinning plates that you think you're doing a ton, but you're nowhere near the capacity that you could achieve as a business and as a team if you empowered your team and people around you.
So what what does that look like exactly? Say you have let's start with a VA. We've talked about VAs being invaluable resources and one of your first hires. So you've hired a VA, but you haven't empowered them. What would it look like to empower a VA to help your business grow? Can you kind of flesh that out for us?
Yeah, I'd love to. So once this VA, once a team member, once anyone on your team is trained and you feel they're proficient at their job. Okay, so this is maybe month 3. There needs to be some conversations with them to see how things are going. And then just ask them, like, hey, do you have any ideas of how I could make your job easier? Or when a problem occurs or a gap occurs, and say your VA emails you, hey, Todd, what do you want to do? This client called in. This is what happens. What do you want to do? For the longest time, I would say, oh, just go ahead and comp the order or add on drone and make sure that the photographer does X, Y, and Z extra for the client. Okay. VA. Okay, no problem. Yeah, go click the buttons in Spiro, zero it out, call the client, email the client. Hey, this is what we're doing for you. Done. Okay, next client calls in. It happens again. Well, as you grow to shooting 100 shoots in a day, there's numerous clients that call in every day. It's just natural. It's the law of it's the law of numbers. As they expand, you're gonna have a same percentage of problems. And if everything runs through you, you're just teaching your team that they need to come to you. And probably the more dangerous thing that you're doing is you're not motivating or empowering them to make a better decision, because you're probably slow to respond. You probably are overworked and feeling tired, stressed, anxious. So you might be a little snippy. You might jump to conclusions where your teammate is incredible at customer service. They know how to take care of people. They would love it if you gave them the opportunity, but they're not going to ask for it. And this is especially true for your VAs in the Philippines. Okay.
Hmm.
So they are never going to ask you for anything because the Filipino culture does not want to ask. They feel bad about asking.
Really?
Okay. They probably feel bad asking you if they can use the restroom. And I'm not over exaggerating. It's a
Hmm.
tremendous culture, a very kind, polite, and gracious culture.
Hmm.
They're happy that they have this opportunity to work for you. They don't want to let you down, but they are very cognizant of speaking their mind.
I guess I can see that even to a degree in our own culture. Because yeah, if I'm working for the manager, I don't want to assume and step on toes because for example, Todd, Wow Video Tours, your baby, right? And having started my own business, I understand this. You do things a certain way. You've built the business a certain way. Who am I to tell the owner that they should do they should do things a certain way or change something or make something better? They're the one that built the business. So yeah, there's going to be a natural built-in. I don't want to use the word fear, but a fear of taking that kind of initiative.
Mm. Yeah. And there's a phrase I use that a coach taught me. He said, when the lion's out and playful, the lion can always bite your head off. It's the idea. Even though you as the owner, you might be in a good mood that day and you might be jovial, you can fire them right now. So that always exists.
I think when you empower your team, when you tell them I trust you to make the decision that's for the best of the company, that will improve their morale and make them more invested in the company mentally, emotionally, work ethic, and they're going to want the win for themselves. But it has to come from the top. That okay, my leadership trusts me. Wow, that I haven't gotten that at previous jobs. So to feel that trusted, I mean, that's going to do something for their ego, their work ethic, their enthusiasm for the work. Um, yeah.
A challenge for all of you out there is how can you empower or how can you put confidence into one of your employees with a decision so that they go home and at the dinner table, they say to their spouse, hey, you won't believe what Todd asked me for help with today.
Hmm.
And that was a misconception I had over a lot of years because I thought when Todd asked for help, it equaled that Todd was weak. And Todd took pride and Todd got a little bit of an ego or a lot of bit of an ego. Asked my wife about knowing the answers. But you know what that did? That just dug me in a really deep, dark hole. And they're no fun to be in because you are in your own hole. And I was only in that hole because of me. And that was even tougher than being in the hole, was realizing that I did it to myself. So a very simple thing. Every time an employee comes to you and asks you a question, ask them how they think they should handle that situation. What do you think you should do? What do you think's best to serve the clients? What do you think is the best way that we meet our core values? However you want to phrase it, tie it back into your company and ask your client and then just zip your lips, let them speak.
Hmm. Can I play devil's advocate for just a second?
Please.
So what if you have an employee that you need to empower your team around you, but you have an employee that you're still not convinced that they're going to necessarily make the right decision. You don't have full trust in them yet. Where do you go with that? How do you develop that relationship? Should they still be on the team? I'm just thinking through all the questions. I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to empower them. I don't know that I
Yeah.
trust them.
So some things that I do, Craig, is one is if that employee needs training on that decision, like if they're just literally flipping a coin and they don't have any work experiences to base it on, then you're going to need to guide them through that. And you could ask them some questions. Well, how do you think the client would feel about that? Okay, if this happened to the homeowner, it's their house. What do you think? Is that going to look good for the agent? We need to make sure that we look good in the agent's eyes. So ask them some questions. And sometimes you are just going to have to tell them. Now, I saw this with my leadership team at WOW, and Steve and Jess are incredible. And they have so much insight and knowledge into the business and how to improve it. The problem is I made the decisions for so long and didn't empower them that every time Todd was in the room, they always kind of went back to, what do you think? And they would use me as a crutch because they were afraid to make that decision. And this is despite them really knowing the correct decision, but it was just like, oh, this is uncomfortable. And this is okay. This is natural. The thing that I assured them, I did a few things and I do them consistently. One, I tell them that I trust them. Like, you guys are incredible. I trust you. You guys have done a great work. Like, this last project, it went off incredible. Like, you guys know what to do. And then I also tell them that it's okay for us to make mistakes. Like, I make mistakes every day. And I happen to have one big mistake that I made the day that I lost $250,000 that works good for me to bring up. All right. Now, I would suggest, if you don't have a mistake that bad, don't make a mistake that dumb just so you have that example to use with your leaders. Okay. It was a really painful day and it was a painful year. So just don't go make the mistakes. You have the example, because that was a really bad thing. I'm going to talk about it at Rep Conference here in November.
For those of you listening and not watching, I was taking a drink right as Todd said that. Again, almost spewing all over my equipment in front of me here. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm going to get Craig at one point, and I'm going to have to buy all new equipment for him, but it's going to be worth it. So I would tell them this, and I would sometimes have to elaborate on it. And again, these are my words, but I would say, hey, you guys know what you want to know what I do when you come and ask me something that I don't know? Like a big, hairy, hard question. They're like, what do you do? I'm like, I just flip a coin. Like, and I say something funny, and this is the way, you guys know me by now. I have this little sense of humor that I give at times, and I can be sarcastic with it, or I try to make a point with it. But I try to bring humor so that they understand, like, I don't know the answer to this. I just guess. But the best answer is the correct answer. The second best answer is the wrong answer. The worst answer is no answer or no decision. So those are some verbal things that I've used over the years, and I use them again and again and again and again. I say it all the time. This is becoming your job as the owner of the company, that you need to be symbolic in your employees' eyes. Everything you do should be symbolic. If you tell them this knowledge, give them this thing, crack this joke, you hope that they remember it. You hope that they use it with other employees. You hope they laugh about it or are proud about it at the dinner table with their spouse.
I think that kind of approach makes you human as an owner as well, and can really build trust in the relationship with your staff.
Craig, that is so wise. Yes. And we connect with other humans. We don't connect with people that have egos, that sit in offices, that are unapproachable.
Yeah. Yeah. You want a good culture. You want a good environment in your business. Be human. Be transparent.
Yeah. Yeah. Empower your staff, and you will not believe how much you can grow. It is in our 2004 is when we started. Why don't I know this number? 21st year. In our 21st year, we're going to be up about $750,000 in revenue from 2023, which is our best year ever. So just to give you guys some perspective, and it's when I stepped away, and I have no problem saying that. I stepped away, I empowered the team, and they grew way faster than I could ever figure out how to grow. And I'm so proud of them for that. I am more proud of them than Todd's ego needs to know anything or be stroked in any way because of what the team has done.
Very cool. All right. So, mistake number 2, not empowering your team quickly enough. All right. So that's 2.
Craig, I think let me intro number 3 because I think we'll go to some wisdom from you.
Oh boy.
Number 3 has to do with managing money and this idea of spending money to make money. And I know that's something that you resonated with, and we had discussions about this when you first started C Imaging, your real estate media business, this idea of like, hey, I've got to take this leap of faith, but it costs money.
Yeah. Yeah. So should I share the story?
Yeah, I'd love it.
So when Todd and I first started talking, I was the first beta tester for Spiro, and there was a cost involved in that. And you have to understand my background, my career background. It was pretty much all other than other than 5 or 6 years of my career up until that point, it was all nonprofit ministry work. And you don't go into nonprofit ministry work to make a lot of money. That wasn't my motivation.
Believe it or not.
Believe it or not, right. Right. These stories about these rich nonprofit CEOs and execs, they're the exception, not the rule. Okay. So financially, things have always been a little challenging for me just because of limited income, right? But I enjoyed the work I did. But I was afraid to spend money frivolously, but I was afraid to spend money, period, because things were so tight. So my mentality really was kind of a scarcity mentality, Todd. We've talked about that mentality before, where you're living out of fear, okay? And there was a fear, a financial fear of me spending money to get my initial business started. So we talked some more, and things worked out where I'm like, okay, yep, it is worth this, because I'm not going to be able to scale my business unless I do invest in a system that's going to help me grow. But that was kind of the first light bulb. But I think where it really lit up, and it's actually a much smaller item than that first item of investing in a system, was purchasing my first drone. Okay. So the investment in the system was a monthly type of investment based on what I had sold that month, right? But a drone is an initial upfront cost that was quite a bit. If I remember correctly, Todd, it was like $1,400 or something. Now, to me, that was a ton of money for that drone, the extra batteries, the case, the controller, all of that. And I'm like, man, yeah, I've got the money, I can spend it, but I'm afraid to let go of that money. But I know I have to offer drone services to realtors if anybody's going to take me seriously. So I bit the bullet. It went against everything I was conditioned and had experienced to believe up until that point, because I thought, if I invest the money now, then I can hopefully I can at least have the chance of getting some drone jobs and selling that additional service. And I saw that drone had been, getting pretty strong and was going to continue to grow. And Todd, within, I believe it was 10 shoots, I don't remember the time frame, but it wasn't that long of a time frame, I made all that money back plus some. And then everything after that investment was just profit. It was growth. Drone didn't take me long to shoot. Didn't take long. It wasn't a huge investment to edit. And so I spent that $1,400, and all of a sudden my average order value skyrocketed, for properties that needed drone. And agents loved that I could do the photo, the video, and the drone all in one appointment. They didn't have to outsource the drone from another company. They could get everything. So it was getting over that fear, that initial fear of laying out that kind of money, and then seeing that growth was possible because of it.
Yeah, those are great examples.
I
have one
simple.
very simple. I have one very similar, and then I'm going to flip this a little bit for you all. Mine came at the time that I needed to hire my first higher level admin, like my number two individual. And I was afraid to do that. You know, the business was growing, but I was still very careful with every penny that we spent. And hiring an employee is different than hiring a photographer, because photographers are going to, well, for us as contractors, when they worked, we paid them. And that brought in, when we were paying them, we were making money. VAs were a little bit different. Well, when I started, there was no such thing as VAs, or if people were using them, I didn't know about them. But there wasn't this idea of hiring a VA for, $1,500 a month or $1,200 a month. It was, you needed to hire an employee, and this employee was costing you, back at that time, $40,000 or $50,000 a year. And it came time for me to need an individual. I was 6 months behind in doing my invoicing. This was before Spiro did it for you automatically. And I was just spending all the wrong time on the wrong task, just low level task. And I was just convinced that I was saving money. And even if you've convinced yourself that you're saving money because you're doing it in the evening hours, like, oh, I'm doing my billing at night after the kids go to bed. So, and it's time that I'm kind of just on the couch anyways. I got a laptop on my lap and I've got the TV on, and I'm going to save the money. One, you're completely fooling yourself, because what you're doing is you are taking out all of the margin in your brain, all of the space that you need. You're overworking yourself, so you're going to be less efficient. You're killing all your time you should be with your family.
Yes.
Even if the kids are in bed, are you spending time with your wife? What are you working out? Are you, whatever it should be, you should be putting something back into you and your personal relationships.
Preach, Todd.
And it's just like, no, like, just working more than 40 hours. I had a coach, he says this, is working more than 40 hours is just cheating. You should be able to find a way to work 40 hours or less and still grow and have a fantastic business.
Boy,
and if you feel like
that's countercultural, Todd.
Yeah,
I feel like the culture, the hustle culture, especially for owners and entrepreneurs, is minimum 50 hours a week. You got to grind out. So you're saying 40 or less?
40 or less, yes. I can't tell you the number of times that I was proud that I worked 60 or 70 or the 80-hour weeks. Yeah. Like, I was proud of it. And oh my goodness, I wish I could go back to younger Todd. One, he didn't have the bags under his eyes, no gray hair. His jokes were better. But I don't want to go back to the 80 hours a week, Todd. That was just silly, Craig. Because I wasn't smart enough to find a different way. I just wasn't good enough. I needed training. I needed coach. I needed somebody to help me understand what I wasn't seeing. I thought, I'm just going to pound through this. No, please don't pound through this, because your kids depend on it. Your wife depends on it. Your family, your mom, dad, everything personal depends on it. Remember, you started your business to help you reach your personal goals. And we find that we get this flipped when we get so deep in it. As we say, if I could only get the business to this level, we justify it to say, this is what it would do for my family. And your wife's going, I just want Todd back.
Yeah.
I don't care about the cars. I don't care about the house. I don't care about the money. I just want you. Like, I just want some time with you. So let me flip that, because I said I would, Craig, and then we'll wrap up for a final close. But I think it's important to say this flip side of the story too, because that was Todd at year, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go to Todd at year 17, 18, 16, 17, 18.
Okay.
I had learned that as I finally learned, okay, it took me 10 years. If I hire people and find the right people and train them and empower them, then the business is going to grow. Hired on Shannon. Shannon is now our CRO at Spiro. She helped grow WOW like crazy. Did things that I couldn't even have imagined that we would do. I'm like, oh, this is fun. Let's hire another person. Okay. Brought on our number one photographer, close friend of mine, like he should be the head training person. Okay. I had the first helper person that I hired. It's like, hey, he's gonna be in charge of all the money and growth. Okay, great. Oh, well, this works. Okay, now we need a marketing person because we really should have marketing. You start Googling online. Well, what is a hierarchy? What are org charts of companies this size? They got all these little dots on the map. Okay, let's get that person. Well, now that person needs an assistant. And we'd like to do this thing. We'd like to start hosting these events and webinars. Okay, well, we probably need the person that's going to do that. And we kept adding and adding and adding. The office was full. It was fun. I loved it, actually, Craig. Like, this office had 15 people in it every day. It was bustling. It was energetic. I mean, we had the massage chair, the coffee machine. We didn't have the slide, but I had considered putting in a slide. And I got so blinded. I would just search online. I'd look at offices and like, oh, Google's doing that. Well, I think we should do it too. No, Todd, Google's a freaking large business. You shouldn't do that. So I hit the tipping point to where we put too many people in too fast. And I didn't really empower the tier of managers and didn't set the expectations and didn't point the ship straight enough or direct enough to where we wanted to go. So everybody started working in these silos. And they did good. They did what they thought was best. But it was so over the map, Craig, that nothing really came together to move the needle that much further.
So you can kind of break down this third point into two sides of the same coin. The mistake being not spending enough money quickly enough, or spending too much too quickly.
Yeah.
So finding
sure.
that happy medium of what you're investing in your company.
Yeah, exactly. If there's no one else but you to do it, and this is going to help you grow, you need to have help with that. But if you don't have a solid system, processes, procedures, and a very clear goal, then just hiring people is going to convolute everything, and you'll grow a little bit, but you'll spend a whole lot of money, and you'll get these subcultures start to develop, at least for us, where people try to get people on their side because they think we should go this way, and this other person thinks we should go this way, so they try to get some other employees on their side, and then all this is happening, and you're like, we had this really cool culture, like we have a massage chair, why are you people unhappy? It's like, no, Todd, the massage chair doesn't make people happy. What makes people happy is they know what's expected of them when they walk in the door. And then when they walk out the door, they feel good about crossing those items off their list and feeling like they made progress that day, and not that they had to play the popular game, try to get people on their sides and manage underlying conversations and tones throughout the office.
Wow. All related to money. Wow. I never would have thought of it that way. Huh.
And one thing is, Craig, you are always the last person to find out.
Right.
You might think you know everything that's going on. And in the past, when you had 1 or 2 or 5 employees and you had that close personal relationship with them, they would come to you and you probably knew a lot of what was going on. But when you grow 4, 5, 15, 20 employees, you are the last person to know. And you know you find out when the problem's too big to solve sometimes. Or the way you solve the problem is you move on from a massive amount of people, or you change. Like you have to go really deep at that point because the problem is so embedded that you have to cut really deep to fix the problem. And then you're right back where you started.
Wow. All right. Good stuff. The top 3 mistakes that we've learned from that hopefully you can learn from and not make the mistakes that we have. Todd, thank you. Thank you for the transparency and the vulnerability on sharing that.
Yeah, my pleasure. I hope it can be helpful. And these are all things that if you want to find out more about them, if you want to speak on them, I didn't mention at the top of the hour, but if you want to speak at the Spiro Sync, we have those breakout sessions like I mentioned. Email us, hello@spiro.media. If you're like, hey, this resonates with me, I'd love to talk about this. Just let me know. We'll put you on the list and then we'll see what ideas you have and see if we can't get you scheduled.
Yeah, awesome. If you have mistakes you want to share in the comments on the YouTube channel, feel free. We'd love to learn from you as well. And if you're listening, you can email us those things, hello@spiro.media. We like to learn just as much as we like to teach. So we still have things to learn ourselves as we continue to grow. So Todd, again, thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Well, that's going to wrap things up this week. Hopefully this was a benefit to you. If you found value in this, we'd love a like on the YouTube channel. Feel free to share it in the the various social media groups for real estate media. And if you have a colleague in the real estate media industry that maybe isn't familiar with the podcast, we always appreciate the share just to be able to share this knowledge and community with others that we haven't been able to touch base with, and hopefully strengthen their business as well. So guys, thank you. We appreciate you so much, the time that you take out of your day to listen, to watch. And just want to remind you, make sure you take time out of your day to just be really thankful for the blessings in your life, and be sure to breathe. Have a great week.
Thank you for joining us for the Spiro Podcast, Managing Your Real Estate Photography and Videography Business. This is a production of Spiro and Wow Video Tours. You can find out more about Spiro's real estate media business management software at our website, spiro.media.